Okay, we're going to get started here momentarily. Okay, hopefully it'll sort itself out here quickly enough. Typical beginning of the stream jitters. Something's going on with my mixing board too, which is disturbing. All right. Can you guys hear me okay? It's telling me that the stream is just okay in terms of health. So we're gonna go with it anyway, as long as it doesn't say the stream quality is bad and you're not telling me that there's any buffering going on, then we're just gonna go for it. Okay. All right. So I need to go get myself a beverage. I will be right back. I'm back. All right. Let's do some stuff here. So tonight is actually all about just doing some Photoshop work. And so essentially I'm making some live stream templates, and I've actually got a plan. So let's take a look at this plan. So basically, live stream template is the templates that I create when I did like the Rune Runner live stream, right? Where we've got something that says, hey, the stream is going to start momentarily, or hey, I'm on break, or hey, thank you for attending the stream, that kind of stuff. I like making those. It's a way for you to kind of put your own personal stamp on everything that you do, and they're fun. For me, they're fun to make. It's always a Photoshop challenge. I love doing branding work and stuff like that. I don't get to do branding work as part of my regular job anymore, so this is kind of a fun way to do things. So for the Tuesday night live streams, as I've said in the past, I got basically 5 characters that I'm going to focus on, and I wanted to create a series of templates, one for each theme. So usually what I got is a title slide. As you can see here, it's the catch-all slide. It can double as a thumbnail for YouTube and for live streams. One that features some kind of a camera view like you're seeing now. One for when I'm taking breaks, one for when the stream is about to begin, and one when I sign off to say thank you and kind of direct people to Patreon or the website or whatever it is I want to direct them to. So at a minimum, I'm going to have 5 slides per series. And I've got 5 series, one focused on Vander, one on Okan, one on Twist, one on Idastog, and one on Marl. All right, so then I thought, you know, it might be kind of fun to kind of create something similar for each one, something to kind of tie them all together. And I came up with this idea where I thought, wouldn't it be kind of cool if, since Marl was the one Marl Keenlet is the guy who has this theory about the Lorcan particles. For those of you who aren't familiar with that, it's something that I address heavily in all of the Ashes material. Wouldn't it be kind of cool if Marl was kind of like a narrator across all of these series, and that at the beginning of each live stream I did something from Marl's perspective where he's either addressing directly something that's going to happen or is happening in the context of the story for the character we're focusing on, or he's mentioning something having to do with his research into the Lorcan particles that affects the character that we're talking about and other characters. So I decided if all of these characters are in the same universe, and by the way, I've decided to add Okan to the Lorcan universe, presumably their experiences may cross over. What I am probably not going to do, since these are live streams and it would just be a kind of a significant technical hurdle that I'm not prepared to tackle yet, I'm probably not going to have them appear in each other's stories. However, it would be, I think, conceivable that their stories could cross over in some way, whether it's through letters, documents. And I thought, one interesting way to tie everything together would have Marl be the connecting thread between all of those stories. So in a story focusing on Twist, for example, we might get some kind of a beginning monologue from Marl as he's talking about things that are going on with Twist, and it kind of gives Marl this sort of persona as if he were the narrator, but also the scholar that he's researching this, and he's talking about what's going on behind the scenes and how the Lorcan particles are impacting Twist as a character specifically. If you followed Twist's story, you know that Twist has been exposed to the particles. We haven't seen what Twist's reaction to the particles is going to be yet, but we know that Marl intervened directly on Twist's behalf to bring him out of a coma with the aid of Lorcan particles. We also know that Marl has had enough interactions with Vander that he's reasonably sure that Vander has some gift of Lorcan. He has some kind of favorable or unfavorable reaction to the particles. So what we don't know yet is Marl is not aware of who Idastog is or Okan, and he has no idea that they exist or that they too may be people who are Lorcan sensitive, and that would give us some kind of fun things to do to look forward going forward into those stories. It might be kind of interesting. So I laid out this template to try to give myself a sense for how this was going to be structured. And I thought, if I'm going to tie all these together, the connecting thread is going to be Marl as the researcher, and we're also going to be having episodes of Marl's story as well. Then maybe the thing that will connect these from a template perspective is that each time we do a Tuesday night story time, what we get is a little glimpse into Marl's research notes, and I'm going to use the research notes as a motif for these templates. So that's kind of the idea. And so I thought, okay, I need 5 slides. I've got 5 characters. That adds up to a lot of separate slides. However, by doing it this way, not only can I tie them together in an interesting and fun way, I may be able to get some economy out of these, right? So that I don't need so many separate slides. I can have some that are common and then some that are individual to the series and the character and that kind of jazz. So this was kind of my effort to sort of lay out what I thought I needed. I've done some things like font selection here, and I'm trying to come up with I guess titles for these. So you can see under slide story branding, denotes each series, includes a story title and an image. So Vander is the character who is synonymous with the series called Rune Runner. And then I thought might be kind of cool if Marl was giving them specific titles as it pertained to, how he reminds himself of who these individuals are with respect to the Lorcan particles. So Vander is the courier, which obviously makes sense. Okan is the assassin. Now, Okan doesn't consider himself to be an assassin, but those on the outside looking in probably do. And these notes are going to be written from Marl's perspective, so that kind of made sense to me. Twist, the masterless thief. I like that. It's kind of a play on the idea of the master thief, but Twist is always so contrary and opinionated and independent that I've just always referred to him as the masterless thief. And then Idestag, barbarian. He is the lore shield. And then Marl, the prodigious adventures. He's the fallen scholar. So I'm kind of putting these ideas together, anticipating that I'm going to be able to use some of these titles in the slides. Now, as for the common slide branding, that's going to have something to do with the idea that this is all focused on the Lorcan legends, right? I don't like the name Lorcan Legends. And okay, some of you may look at that and say, but Stu, it's AN, it's not ON. Well, we're changing up here. Lorcan is the god. The particles that we're talking about are Lorcan particles. They are derived from Lorcan. So we call them Lorcan particles. That's why everything is called Lorcan with an ON. So I need to come up with something for the title on this. I'm using Lorcan Legends now. I may change that up. We'll see. So if you got ideas, feel free to throw them out, eh? I'm just asking, eh? Just for a good idea every once in a while. You sit out there and you're talking about your shirtless in the rain and your barbarians and hello, mom and dad and all that. And all I'm asking for is a good idea every once in a while, okay? Is that too much to ask, eh? Sorry. I went off. Yeah, this is just me doing an inventory. And then I did some font selection stuff too. So I'm trying to find, part of the problem here is that if I'm going to present this as pages in like an ancient book. It needs to be a handwritten font so it looks as though Marl could have written it himself. But it still needs to be large enough and legible enough in terms of a script font that people can read it. Right now, I've created the beginnings of this thing, which I'm going to show you in Photoshop shortly. But I'm still dialing in a lot of stuff. So we're going to work on that tonight. And guess what? I'm gonna crack open a bottle of Draugr Lager. It's actually not, well, it's made by Lost Barrel Brewing, but it's actually Ale of the Pale. It's not the Draugr Lager. Draugr Lager just takes thousands of years to age, and I didn't have that kind of time. So it comes in these bottles. I bottled it in 16-ounce bottles. I had 12-ounce bottles, but I didn't have enough of them. So I had to get 16-ounce bottles, and they're all pop-top, so I can use them over and over again. You see that mist come out of there? Oh, baby, that's a good sign. Yeah. Now I'm not gonna pour this over my keyboard. See? Look at that. Damn it. I'm so proud of myself, people. I am so proud. And it's delicious. I'm telling you. I'm super excited, actually, for Joe to try it. Joe hasn't had it yet. And he's a beer aficionado, beer lover. So I'm hoping he likes it. My dad loved it. And he knows his way around beer. So... yeah, this is real beer. This isn't none of that bunny piss. This is real Ale of the Pale. And it's in the older style Draugr Lager mug, which doesn't even quite fit it all in there. So Oh, yeah. Okay. Now, let's do this, sign. So we're going to refer back to this. Now, a couple of different things that are worth mentioning here also is that if you're looking for fonts, my favorite place to go is Da Font. Da Font. Okay. So what I did is I came in here and I looked under scripts, under handwritten, and then I came down here and looked for scripts that would be legible but still appear to be handwritten. And I arrived on this one called Stingray. I have downloaded that and I'm using a sample of that. So if you're ever looking for fonts, these are all free to use. Da Font. Okay. And there's new ones being added all the time. Now, the other thing that we are doing is, as part of this project, we are going to be using some of the artwork of Eugenia Haas, and we will be giving credit in the description of every single video and some other places as well to Eugenia. And this is some beautiful stuff. You can go to eugeniahaas.com and check out her work. You will probably recognize some of this. I have used bits of her work already as part of the Black Prince. Okay, so you're going to want to just keep an eye on the description. I will be putting, because I'm using her artwork in my templates, they're going to be in every live stream, and I'm going to want to try to direct as many people to Eugenia's website and her work as possible. She has things for sale here. She's got kinds of cool things going on. She's got a really wonderful blog. If you are an artist, you can check out her blog, and she's got some really great tutorials, including video and stuff, on how she creates some of this stuff. It's pencil and ink mostly, but it's gorgeous. Okay, so you're going to want to check that out. All right, so we're going to refer back to this. Thank you, EJ, very much. And don't forget, dafont.com. So I am just going to do this, stretch it out, and I'll show you what I got so far. This is kind of how it's laying out. All right. Now, the idea is I want these to look like notes, obviously. Okay. And these are notes as created by Marl Keenlet, the accumulated research of Marl Keenlet, scholar of House Telvanni. And now he doesn't admit on the forward of his field notes that he is a fallen scholar of House Telvanni, or excommunicated from House Telvanni. But the idea here is that I've just put in some lorem ipsum here using the font that I like. Okay, I haven't done anything yet with sizing or anything like that. There's a lot of work to do there. And then I'm also going to put in some kind of a nice background. I really want to try to make this look like it's, you know, sitting on a rustic wood table. The other thing that I need to do is I need to finalize the size of this. So the aspect ratio should be 1080p, which is 1,920 pixels wide by 1,080 pixels tall. If I do that, then it's going to look perfect over the screen as a template. It's also going to work really well if I want to use it for a thumbnail, for example. And then these need to have some CouchWarrior branding on them and some different things like that, okay? So tonight, I'm just going to play around and try to figure out how much content I want to have on these pages and what the content will be. And the problem I have here, of course, is that if I'm going to incorporate Marl doing some narration, do I just do that narration off the cuff, or do I actually write out some of that narration? And then if I do that, I'm putting myself in a situation where I'm changing up the slides every single time. I don't want to do that. So I think what I'm going to do is have these really just be kind of static. In other words, they won't change with every episode. What I'll probably do is take the chapter references out of there, and that's where I'll put in the title of the character, and then maybe I'll do like a 3-paragraph synopsis of who that character is, or write it out as if it were the beginning of a story. I can change these out every once in a while, but then I'm not putting myself or forcing myself into a situation where I feel like I'm obligated to change them out all the time, because I would fail at that big time. So we're not going to do that. All right. So the way that this is set up is that here we got a this is called a smart object. So if I open up the smart object, I can see I've got a second linked file. This has all the goodies in it that I need. All right. So as an example, if let's go in here and let's try to find something. That's Eugenia, by the way. Let's try to find something. You know, I sort of am thinking that what would be a cool thing to put in would be something on the cover of his field notes that is referential to the League of Prodigious Illumination, right? So let's go to Google. Let's look for candle illustration. Go to Google Images. And we don't want anything realistic. It needs to seem like it's drawn. Okay. This is kind of cool, but this is not, I mean, it's got a watermark on it, right? That's going to screw us up. I don't know that I've got anything in my archive that isn't going to have a watermark. Or the stuff I have in my archive won't have a watermark. Ooh, this I could maybe use. Aladdin's lamp. We'll take a look at this as an example. So let's copy that image. All right. And then I'm going to paste that bad boy in here. Oh my gosh. I have a feeling that is going to look great. See, and here's where I put in the title, the Lorcan Legends. I don't know that that's what I want. It's supposed to be kind of like his field notes, right? But I want it to have a title that kind of speaks to everything, the whole series of stories. So then I'm going to save this layer. Saves that, and I come back here, and there we go. Now that looks cool, right? Oh, yeah. All right. So maybe scale it down a little bit. Could scale it down slightly. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to come in here, and I'm going to convert it to a smart object. Edit, transform, scale. And converting it to a smart object just makes it behave a little bit better during scaling. Gets, less distorted. Then I'm going to center it. Okay. So what could we call this? All right. Let's push this title up toward the top a bit more. Maybe, what if it was like the Lorcan thesis or theory or something like that? Question, what is this built on? The image of the book as opposed to the cover info you're working with. What do you mean, what is it built on? I'm not sure I understand the question, Strudel. Causatum, Lorcanus causatum. That is correct. That is what I called it in the very first episode. Yes, Lorcanus. Did I spell it just like that? I'm pasting it onto photo. This is a Photoshop, a layered Photoshop file. Okay, so there's a number of different layers in the Photoshop file here. And then there are also a number of interconnected smart objects. Okay, the smart objects are managing the content, and then the overall Photoshop file, the layered Photoshop file, is built in Photoshop. Okay, these pages here are created in Photoshop. I took these from a template. Okay, so these are from a template and inserted into a layer here, and then the content in the background is coming from other connected objects, so that I can easily edit this. So I can edit this over and over again without having to replicate or significantly change the structure, right? So the contents of these pages, the actual text, I'll probably have to copy and paste that somewhere else. Or ideally, what I could actually do here is, if you look at this, so this is all cover material. I'll show you later on. There's a way that I can do this, so I can save all the data right inside here for each character and then switch them on and off as I want to, as I need to make new templates. Okay. So it'll become more apparent as we get in here. Okay. I got to remember how I spelled that. Lorcanus. Lorcanus is just made up. Causatum is actually a real word. Causatum. Lorcanus causatum. Okay. Now, what am I looking at here? 30 point. Let's drop it to 24. And let's just see how it looks. That's okay. I kind of like it in one line better. Let's have a look here. Causatum. C-A-U-S-A-T-U-M. C-A-U-S-A-T-U-M. You got it right, EJ. Yeah, that has to go up. I need to decide, though, if I'm going to have this on a single line. I don't like it. I like it on one line, but the text is too big, and I'm reluctant to shrink it down too much more. So, let's go back to how we were. See, that looks just weird, doesn't it? Now, the other thing I guess we could do is we could do the Lorcanus causatum. I mean, obviously, these are supposed to be field notes, right? So Marl has just written this down in freehand. And that subtitle, I don't think I'm going to shorten it up. But we could do that. The Lorcanus causatum, the effects. The only reason I'd put the in there is because it kind of spaces things out a little bit. We could also decrease the scale of that by a notch. And then we'll scooch it up about like that, maybe. What do you guys feel about that? It look okay? So we save it, and it commits the changes so we can see them here. The Lorcanus causatum. Because so the cover is going to be consistent. The cover is always going to be Lorcanus causatum. And then it's the inside parts of the field guide that will be specific to each character. So this page is going to be specific to our man Okan and his story, and then we'll create variations on this. So, all right. Okay, now first of all, let's take a look at the scale here. All right, 3,500 pixels wide. This is much higher resolution than what we need. Unbalanced towel. Top to bottom, left to right. Should we do it more like this? Too much white space above and below the lamp. Well, I can only do that, change that by changing the scale of the lamp. So what you're saying is you want the lamp bigger. I like having it bumped up more towards the top because it feels like it's more part of the title, whereas the thing on the bottom is more like giving credit to Marl as the author, right? Let's see how that looks. The Lorcanus causatum, the effects of Lorcan particles on the inhabitants of Skyrim. Yeah, let me think on that one. So let me show you a couple other things here about the book itself. There are some layers here, and it might be easier for me to show you this. Hang on. Hang on, we're going for a ride. There we go. Hopefully that'll help. So the contents of the book are located here in these layers. We have two more smart objects. If I open this one, you can see there's one page here, and I have the power to change whatever I need to in here. Now, this is where I could actually create folders with nested content for each character, so I could change it out without having to adjust everything. Okay. And then I've got another one here, which is for the first page. Okay. If that makes sense. Hopefully it does. Okay. But what I want to do now is I want to come up with a background for this. And I want something that's rustic, that's wood. So what we're going to do is put in rustic, wood, texture. We'll see what we get from that. Go to images. Now, if I mouse over these, I can see what the scale of these is. Remember, our base file is 3,500 pixels wide, so 3,000 pixels wide is actually not bad. This stuff like this at 390 and 800, 1,200, these are completely unusable. By the time I enhanced their size to make them fit properly, they'd be completely distorted. They'd lose all their sharpness. So this one is actually not a bad choice, and I like how rustic it looks. Now, one thing you could do is a Google search for, you could add high res as search criteria. Now, this is not bad. At 5,356 pixels wide, we would be shrinking this. And ideally, what you want is you don't want to be in a situation where you're bringing up the size of something. Bringing it down, you know, you're not going to get that kind of pixelation. Now, the question is, can I actually get at this? Free images, wooden background. Sometimes they make you jump through hoops, like setting up free accounts to get access to shit, which we don't want. Okay, this shows me the resolution. All right, let's see if I can click through to this. Free download original. See, they want me to log in. What is this? PX here. I haven't set up an account here. Okay, let's keep that one in mind. I want as few like garbage accounts as I can possibly have. Okay, Pinterest. That's a nightmare. Staying away from that. Okay, I like this one enough that I think I'm going to sign up for this. This one is a free download with an account set up. So all right, let's do it. And I'm going to use the email address that I dump all of my spam into. Okay, we'll see if this is going to show me as logged in or not. Or if I have to go confirm it, I might have to confirm it. Email is not verified. Let's do that then. Verification of registration. Congratulations. Account is verified. Oh, yeah, thank you. Verification. Excellent. Refresh. All right, there she comes. Now, Let's grab this. And open with PhotoShop. All right, so this is going to be larger. So all right, drop that in. Now we've got this folder here with backgrounds in it. Ultimately, that is where we want this thing to live. Okay. Okay. I got to do that again. We'll do that. Why you do that? Oh, it's locked. I got to unlock that layer. Could not complete your request because layer is locked my parents. Well, shit. This is the parent. Layer parent. This is the parent. Layer parent. This one. That's the parent. Ha ha. Bastage. Okay. Now, that is pretty good. That's kind of fun. Okay. Now, there's a little bit of drop shadow action going on this. The one thing that this is lacking in is any kind of lighting. So we're going to futz with lighting on this. Yeah. All right. Check, check, check. Sorely in need of a new mixing board. Yes, a little bit of light futzing, eh? All right, let's close up some of this stuff we don't need, and we're going to focus on this here layer. Now, we've got some drop shadows and stuff like that going on these already. So I'm not going to play around with any drop shadows until I've got my lighting situation figured out. Okay. So let's futz. So what we're going to do is we are going to render some lighting effects. She crashed. So let's do it again. We got a sizable texture here. So we've actually got like a lot to work with. We can kind of move this thing around. We can find the most interesting grain, wood grain possible. Okay, so let's make a note here too of where the shadows are, because that is going to help us determine where reasonably the light source would be. So I think what I need to figure out here is what exactly will be included in the light source. So we need to have that at the right spot. Okay. So we kind of makes it look sort of like our light source needs to be up this way somewhere, right? Stop working. All right. All right, let's save this. What I'm not sure about is how to position the light source. If I can position the light source in a layer and have everything under it affected by that. Don't be talking about my wood. Filter. Yeah, I can't apply it there. What I want to do is I want to apply it to more than one thing. So I'm going to put a new layer in here. And I'm going to try, let me do it here. It will. Okay, let's try. Render lighting effects. Could not complete the lighting effects command because the selected area is empty. All right. I'm looking for a way to apply this across multiple layers. I'm guessing there is a way to do that. See, what will happen is if I apply it this way, the lighting effect will be applied to the wood in the background, but not to the book itself. That could have kind of an interesting impact. We'll see. We'll try it on the background and see how it looks. I don't think it's going to be like anything too crazy. Don't crash. All right. Okay, so there's our light source. We're going to change it. Okay, we want our light source up a this away. Yeah, I kind of like that though. It sort of has the effect of, well, it really makes the pages pop, and I like the edges being kind of really dark. Now we can also, I've set it by default it's on Spotlight. We have some other options here, but Spotlight is really what I want. We can also adjust the intensity here a little bit, which is cool. We'll crank up the intensity a little bit. Exposure. How about we bring the exposure up? Okay, and I'm thinking, let's move the light source off the page. That way it would actually kind of appear as though the light source were on the table, maybe adjacent to the manuscript. Something like that, maybe. It Intensity, I don't want too much of that. Bring the ambience up a little bit. Ambiance. Okay, that kind of makes it seem like there's a reason for those drop shadows to be there. And we can adjust the drop shadows a little bit if we needed to, but I actually think this is actually pretty good. Let's bring it up this way just a bit more. All right. No textures applied. Now, if I bring the ambience up and down, you can see it makes the edges of the page or the image much darker. We're throwing off less ambient light, so the edges get darker. And I kind of like the dark. So I think I'm going to leave it set fairly low, and we're going to commit that. Now, one way that I could get a lighting effect that was across this whole thing would be to flatten the layer so that the book and the background were in the same layer. But I don't want to do that. I know that there's probably a cleaner, better way to do it that makes the files easier to maintain. I can get the effect I want, but the means by which I would do that would be based on my own limited knowledge of how that specific effect works. And if I flatten things, it's going to be an issue. So set it to overlay. No, I can't do that. I mean, I could move the texture up like this, but that's the effect you get, which is kind of a cool effect, but it's not what I'm going for. Okay. So the other thing that we got to do here is we've got to get this to the right aspect ratio. And, you know, there's probably a better way to do it. In this circumstance, make a new layer, flat gray, but put the light effect on that layer and then set the flat gray with light. I see what you're saying. Let's try that. As an experiment, let's duplicate this layer. Let's move this layer up, our copy up here. Okay. Now let's set the fill to 0. Does it apply? No. All right, let's try it. All right, I'll set the fill to 0. I'll build a layer style. I'll do color overlay. Set it to normal now so I can see what I'm doing. And we'll make it kind of a medium gray. Okay. Now, We'll set it to overlay. Okay. Now, do a lighting effect. Okay, that lighting effect seems to be the same as what we'd had before. It carried that over. It's not doing it. So let's set this to overlay. And let's set this to normal. It's a good theory, EJ, but I don't think that is going to get us what we need. Right? I like how you're thinking there, though. I like how you're thinking there. Okay. So one possibility could be layer. New adjustment layer, new fill layer. I know it's possible. That may be one of those things I would have to go out and just Google it and look for a tutorial on that, but I don't want to do that during a live stream. So let's go with what we've got for now. Save that. Okay. So if I go back and take a look at, I'm doing the aspect ratio thing now, right? Yeah. So I created this layer up here. This layer is going away. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to create a box here. Fixed size, 1920 by 1080. I click in here. Okay. I'm going to move it up to the corner. This is the actual size that I need everything in here to be at. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to fill that. Then I'm going to transform the scale on this and see what I run into here. Now, what it's looking at right now is it's looking at the size of the largest thing in here, right? Which is our background. So let's escape out of that. Select our background. Okay, I'm going to select the whole file. Then I'm going to do inverse. Okay, no pixels. Well, let's see how this goes. We'll just do the whole thing. My goal here is that I want to size things so that I get what I need inside that gray box. Okay. So let's adjust the opacity of this thing so we can get a sense for what's in the box, and then we'll position it there. And then what I'm going to do is save this out and give it a different name. Oh, hang on. It's one of my favorite songs. All right, let's scooch it over here. All right, that's going to resize everything. Pretty close. Okay. All right, that should get us at the right aspect ratio now. All right. Very good. All right. So let's save this out. I want to keep the high res version of it. So I've got Tuesday Night Stories main. And we'll just call this one 1080p. Now, this is the version that I'm going to want to use to make all the other pieces, right? So now I'm going to add some additional things that we need just as part of the template. If I'm looking at my other one, I've got a web address on there for the event schedule. So let's go get that. I don't know if I have that here or not. We'll see what I've got. Yeah, I don't have any of that stuff in here. So, go to the backup drive. And I've got some Tuesday stuff in here. So let's get this in first. Oh, it's the couch. I love the couch. Oh, good God. You know, it was not easy finding on Craigslist a couch that looked even remotely similar to the one I've been using in my logo for 5 years, 6 years, or whatever. But I did. Okay. Got that. Now, I'm thinking this Okay. I need to think about the scale of the couch. This is slightly larger than what I would use during the actual stream. However, that's not a bad thing, right? These are just on the stream slides. So that'll be okay. When the story actually starts and the slides are turned off, there's a much smaller version of the couch that'll be in the upper right-hand corner. So okay. So let's leave that for now. Now, the other stuff I need is not here on this deal. It's on a different machine, which is okay. I can recreate it. Okay, so what we're listening to tonight is, as some of you probably know, my favoriteest ever, which is a band called Hammock. And they actually created a good portion of the soundtrack for Far Cry 5, which is kind of awesome. I've been listening to Hammock for years, and when I started listening to them, they were kind of this tiny 2-person outfit out of Nashville, Tennessee that no one had ever heard of. And now I'm starting to see them in more and more places. And when I saw them on Far Cry 5, I was like, wow, kind of blew me away. So, all right, somewhere here, I thought I had some new branding. Maybe I don't. Character Crusade desktop. Character Crusade brand. That it is. Okay, what I want is just the king. Because it's not the right kind of documents. Oh, shit. All right. Do I have... CC logo art. I don't want the whole badge. I was thinking that it would be cool just to have the king's head. King crown. Face. Let's try this. This one should work. No. No. I made a PNG file with a background on it. Why did I do that? It's just the bottom part of the face. Logo Rev 1. Let's just keep opening files. Don't resolve that. Okay. There's the king's head right there. So let's take this. We open this. We're going to pull this down. And we're going to take this whole folder. I'm going to drop it in there. going to close that down, and we are not going to save those changes. Okay. And this is why having things dark in the corners, I like doing stuff, you know, kind of dark in the corners for messaging like this, right? Okay, get a little icon, right? Now we're going to add our URL. Let's crank it up in size. I'm not sure what this font is, but let's take a look. Ah, it's tomfoolery. White. Ah, it's runes. Ooh, that's good. Go to this URL. Okay. So I try to stick to a set of fonts pretty regularly for certain things. One of those is called Rift. And I don't know that I have that font on here or not. We need to see. I do not have Rift on here. We could use an alternate. We could also try our Stingray. But, I mean, this not the most readable in the world, right? Just kind of depends what size we make this. Let's stick with this for now. Let's get it in a position. And then we'll play around a little bit here. Okay. All right, this one, Kenyan Coffee, this is the font that we use for the Unbound branding. We could go with something like this. It's going to be pretty readable, at least. Although I don't want to go with strong. I want to go with either crisp or sharp. Probably sharp. Okay. And I'm thinking I'm going to bring the scale down to something else. 36. And then let's try all caps ones. Okay. Got that. Okay, now I'm definitely going to bring the size of this couch down. Okay. Events.charactercrusade.com. I don't think I like it. I think I need to go and get the font that I was originally thinking about, and that is a font called Rift. Rift. Font. Search tools suck. Yeah, look at that crap. It's like it's searching other places. Why would it do that? Can't believe I don't have Rift on here. My fonts. Huh. Buy it. You kidding? I own this font. Okay. This is definitely the right font, but I already own this font and it's on another machine, so I'm going to need to get it off of there. They're going to charge for this everywhere? That's crazy. Maybe I got a special deal on it. Let's close some of this other crap down. All right, so Rift isn't going to be an option for now. This font's too chunky. I don't like it. Can't believe I don't have it on here, but I guess I don't. Normally what I do is I keep Kenyan Coffee and Rift together, and I use them as a font pairing. Let's roll down here, see if it got classified some other way. No. Okay. We'll just find an alternative. And then I will get Rift moved over here, and I will use that. Because all the templates that I used last Tuesday have Rift on them. I'm using Rift liberally. So that pisses me off a little bit. But that's okay. When haven't I been pissed, I ask you? Thanks for hanging out, everybody. I am quite certain you've never done anything as amazing as this. Okay. Leave it as is until I can get that sorted. Normally, I don't do Photoshop on this machine because of how my streaming setup is managed. I'm on my gaming machine right now. I'm actually doing Photoshop on my gaming machine. Normally, I do all of this branding work on my Mac, but I cannot stream directly from the Mac. I have to stream from the gaming machine, so Photoshop on the game machine. Okay. Is this right? Yeah, 1920 by 1080. All right. Okay, so let's start figuring out how the branding would work on this. Now, the first series we got coming up after this is made, obviously, is going to be the Black Prince. So one of the things that is important in all of these is that I've already got some established branding. Like when you see the Rune Runner font, you recognize it, right? You know what it is. So I've got some established patterns when it comes to branding for different series, and I want to stick with that established brand. So in order to ensure that I do that, we're going to pull in some branding from the Black Prince. And to do that, I'm probably going to have to email myself the assets that I want or drop them in a storage location. Because what I want is the Black Prince branding that has the font that I used and all that stuff baked into it. So let's do that next. So I'm on the Mac right now, and I'm just opening Google Drive, and I am going to look and see if I've got things stored here and if what I need is there already or if I've got to drop it in. And I think I got to drop it in. So let's do that. Okay, it's copying over. Okay, this guy here. Let's download that. Okay. Now this folder is going to contain all of the assets that I need for each series. So we'll create a separate folder for each one. Okay, we'll pop that in. And I think while I'm at it, we'll play around with the Rune Runner branding as well. All right. Welcome, Gail. Yes, the book is written by Marl, and Marl will be taking on the role of the researcher who is documenting events that are happening to the characters in the Tuesday Night Stories series. So we're going to use that overall theme for creating these templates. Okay, now I'm anticipating some problems here. This Photoshop file will open, but there'll be some issues with the fonts in it if I choose to change them. All right. So Rift and yeah, Rift Demi. This is telling us the fonts that I'm using here. So Atzilith script. So let's go here. I wish the search tools at this site were better. I mean, the archive of fonts is fantastic, but the search tools just suck. ATZILUTH. ATZILUTH. We'll see what it does. It's going to give me some stupid result. Oh, it gave me an actual font. Okay, so Rift was on here, but Rift has been taken off. Okay. Well, let's go ahead and download this font. We know we're going to need it. This is the font required for the Black Prince branding, so we may as well make sure we've got it on this machine. Okay. And you guys know how to install fonts. I'm going to extract these files. I usually just extract them right into download because I'm going to get rid of these files after I do the install. Okay, and I'm going to use the TrueType font. Okay. Now, that should take care of that font conflict. See, now this is Rift right here. And it's throwing an error there because it doesn't find Rift. Okay. All right. So what I'm interested in now is, I think here. So my thought was, let's put in an illustration that is in some way associated with each of the characters along with the brand associated with the characters. And then we've got all this lorem ipsum text, which is going to be unreadable, I think, through YouTube, unless you're at full screen 1080p. If you're not running HD, you're probably not going to be able to read any of this. So I certainly can't be reliant on that, but I do not want to kind of move forward with just having permanent lorem ipsum. That doesn't make sense either. So eventually I'm going to have to substitute some written text here. And I want that written text to be associated with the character in question. Okay, close that. Close that. Okay, so here's the base file. And we're going to go into these attach layers. Okay, that's not the smart object I want. It's going to be this one here. Okay. So let's try this once. I'm going to move this to the outside edge. All right. Black Prince. Now it says this is still not resolved, but we know it is, because we've installed the font. Okay. So okay, so let's shut down this chapter thing. Okay, there. Now it's resolved. Okay. Now I'm not using full black for text here. All right. And you can see I've got a drop shadow effect here as part of the branding. We'll probably take that off, but there's no reason why we can't play around with it a little bit and see how it looks first before we change it up too much. Now, the reason I'm copying this over the way that I am, instead of just retyping it, is that Frequently when I'm doing the branding for these, I'll change the kerning or the spacing on these as well. And copying them straight over is really the only way I can be absolutely sure that I'm getting the effect that I want. Now I need to also make sure that I'm getting the right shade of gray. Okay. I'm thinking let's just save it with this weird drop shadow on it once and see what it does. So I'm going to save my changes to this and then go back to the original. Ooh, that looks cool. Yeah, that looks real cool. I am going to get rid of that, though. So we're going to keep the color overlay. We're going to get rid of the shadow. And I think we're going to move it up just a scotch. Put it like right there. Now this font actually looks, I think, pretty good compared to the content I've got. That's pretty cool, right? Now, that's obviously that, to me anyway, that's recognizable also as the Black Prince branding. Because the font is bigger, the black stands out more, though, than it does on the script, even though it's the same color. So what I could do is I could artificially adjust the color on this font. By that, what I mean is this is the color that I'm using on all the script, but because the letters are so much bigger, they appear quite a bit darker. So I could artificially adjust it up just a little bit here, like that. Okay. Let's have a look. Oh, I like it. The Loconith Cathotum. The effects of the Locon particles on the inhabitants of Skyrim. The accumulated research of Marl Keenlit, scholar of House Telvanni. The Black Prince. Okay. So, I'm digging that. Yeah, I do want it to stand out. I do want it to stand out, Strudel, but I don't want it to appear as though it were written in different ink. You know, I sort of want the book to have a uniform look, like it was written with the same quill in the same pot of ink. So I wasn't talking about it standing out so much as it having the right shade of black in relationship to the other material on the page. I want it to look like the script is written with a quill and that the sketches are done in pencil or charcoal or something like that. That's kind of the idea. Trying to get some consistency there. And that is going to be a huge issue when I get to the pages for Vander, because the Rune Runner font is gigantic and it's really whimsical looking and it's, you know, it's just massive. And he's got his own distinct brand too with the runner guy in it and all that kind of stuff. So I'm going to have to take a look at that font color and maybe dial it back a little bit or adjust it so that at that large size, it looks good. The other thing I thought about maybe doing is with some of those big beefier fonts is actually doing some effects on them so that the letters themselves look like they've been doodled or sketched in, right? Because nobody has a giant magic marker to write these things. It looks like this might look like the sort of thing that somebody has done a doodle with a quill or a pencil to make those. So I'm thinking about that as well. And that's something I don't need to worry about for a while yet. For now, I just need to establish the template and get my methods set up and get this one done, because we got this story coming up again tomorrow. But Vander's story is going to be coming around again before you know it, and I'll have some time between now and then to play around and kind of figure out how some of those big fonts are going to look. The same is true with Barbarian, for example, and Twist has kind of got a scripty one. It's pretty bold, but it's scripty. That one will work. The Barbarian one, though, it's this kind of Viking style thing that looks like runes. That ought to be kind of interesting. And Marl's is going to be something completely new. So I'll have to figure that one out too. That one's going to be something I haven't done before. So that one I've got more flexibility. But some of these other ones that have established ginormous fonts, I'll have to play. Okay. So, well, okay, that is... All right, let us... I got to go to a different archive here. Hello. Oh, shit. Oh. Oh. Where's my phone? Text message incoming. Okay. Looking for documents. I'm looking for my Black Prince writings. Could have sworn, huh? They were in here. Ooh, Barbarian journals, too. See, these are all resources that I think that I could draw from for material to put on these pages rather than writing it from scratch. So, I just need to figure out what I'm going to pull from. Well, that is annoying. Okay. So there's a lot of material in here. So I'm going to take, I think, a sample of this, and we're going to pop it in there. Let's look at how much room do we have here. So maybe room for a couple of shorter paragraphs. That's provided I don't change the font size. I guess the question I have for you guys is, I know it's hard to judge here. Well, it's literally impossible to judge because this isn't at scale, right? But trying to understand how readable this is just it, right? I don't expect people to be able to read this, but I expect it not to be lorem ipsum content. So some people will be able to read it because they'll look at it at a higher resolution than others. So maybe what I'll do, and I'm not going to draw from the first chapters because my best writing is in the later chapters. So let's grab these two. Okay, so the way this works is we go back to this one. Okay, and you can see I've got blue guides on either side. Basically, that's telling me where I'm going to put in a carriage return. So we take that out. And then I am going to start laying this out. As long as it's like relatively close to that line, I feel okay about it. All right, let's save this. All right, and these are two sizable paragraphs. I could probably put a little bit more in there if I wanted to. I sort of feel the need to balance it a little bit with the image on this side, perhaps. Yeah, you're right, Kat. Some people will, look at it at the largest size that they can and will take the time to read it. I want to have something there. I want to have something there for them. And I think this will be kind of interesting. And I've got writing that I can use for Barbarian. I'm pretty sure that I've got writing that I can use for Marl. I don't have any writing for Twist, and I'm not going to have any writing for Vander either. But I've got some ideas for Vander. I think his is going to be interesting. Maybe a collection of songs or possibly love poems, something like that. But these are going to be things that are have come to be identified with the character would be the idea. So let's grab this. And we'll just put whatever seems reasonable in here. Okay, that seems probably about it right there. Okay, so the day was finally here. This is where we ended that. All right, that's good. Now we'll just continue on the other section. So let's go back. I'm going to grab all this. Now, this probably won't all fit. But we'll put in what we can. Tulija Kayasar. So I'm pasting it in and just kind of manually sizing it up here. Okay, getting close. Keep going. All right, yeah, so that whole last paragraph, that goes. Okay. Now here's our overlapping image. I'm not even going to use this image. I'm going to put a different image in. But let's resize this. So we're going to convert that to a smart object and change the scale. Okay. And the other thing I'm going to do is we're going to drop it behind the text. So let's go ahead and make it a little larger. Now we're going to center it on the page. Okay. That's cool. Now that's real content, and that's interesting stuff. That's right straight from the story, which I think is very cool. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go out and get a different image from Eugenia that I think is more applicable specifically to the Black Prince in this story. We're going to put that in, take the leaves out. So, what do you think? Not bad, huh? Now the question is, this is a good start, but at somewhere in here, I have to also include the messages, right? Good night, cat. So there's going to be some reference to say, you know, the stream will start shortly, or I'm on break, or thank you for watching, or whatever. And then we also need to make allowances for a camera view in here. So for the camera view, now what I'm going to do is I'm going to take this layer that we created for resizing the whole thing, and we're going to edit that. Now, the cool thing is we're going to reuse this layer, okay? We're going to reuse this layer because it's the same aspect ratio as what the camera view is inside here. It's 16:9 aspect ratio. So let's fill it in. So what this does is it gives us a representation of how the camera could be positioned. And we could literally, the temptation is to like try to build it into the page or something like that. I don't want to do that. It's just going to be a camera overlay, pure and simple, I think. I'm not going to get too fancy with it because I don't use the camera that much. It's about immersive storytelling, so most of the time the camera's not on. But the other thing I think that is important to note is that you can't really build it into the page because there's no way for me to rotate the camera view inside my streaming tools to make it fit at the proper angle to look like it's on the page. And so I'm not even going to try that. What we are going to do here, though, is we'll do some kind of drop shadow action. And I am not going to conform at all to the lighting, I don't think, because, well, we'll see. Depends on the position of the camera. We put a drop shadow there. Adjust its opacity. And then what I like to do is I'll do a color overlay of just pure black, because I have to position the camera over this box manually inside of the streaming tools. And when I do that, I don't have a whole ton of control. In other words, the positioning controls for the camera inside my streaming tools is not very finite. I can't adjust it down to the pixel. So I just have to, kind of eyeball it, get it as close as I can. If I do an all black background, if I end up having a little black edge around, it just looks like a nice frame. It doesn't look like a god-awful mess. So we'll do this. Now, let's try going back to the global settings for the drop shadow. Because our light source is in the upper left-hand corner, we can also, if we position the camera here over the pages, then we kind of get that nice shadowing effect over the pages as well. And it sort of looks like the storyteller is popping in over the scene and then popping out again, which I think could be kind of fun. All right. So then what I'm going to do here is I'm just going to call this camera. And then we'll hide that from view. Okay. Now let's go out and get an image. The frog is interesting. But what I would prefer to have is I need either something that is a transparent PNG file or is on a white background. Now, she's got some interesting ones in here that could be a good fit. Now, she's got some studies that she did of things like toadstools and mushrooms and stuff, which could actually be an interesting reference to the poison making, right? Here's what I'm talking about. This right here. Let's have a look. So let's copy that image once. I mean, those don't look overly phallic. So let's give it a shot. So here's my art layer. I'm going to select that, pop in the shrooms, not do that. And we'll just move this down. So what it kind of looks like is it looks like Marl is writing these notes. It looks like Marl is writing these notes about Okan. And in the margins of his notes, he's putting sketches regarding things that are relevant to the character in question. So these, we can enlarge these slightly. I don't want to overdo it. We don't want to distort them, but we can enlarge them a little bit. Photoshop is much better at these kinds of scale adjustments than it used to be. I originally started using Photoshop in 1994. Had a pirated copy. And it is a much better tool now than it was then, but even then it was a very powerful tool. There we go. That's freaking cool right there. Okay. Now, I like everything about this template except the shit that's going on in the lower left-hand corner. I hate that a lot. So I need to think about that. Got to think about that. Oops. It looks that's where I have like that chunky text. All right, hang on, we're moving. All right. I'm not liking that at all. So let's play around with this. We got the text here we need. I just despise the fonts. The king's head, the logo, I actually don't mind that at all. It's the font. It needs to kind of fit in. So let's see if we can do something with a bit more elegant font. So I think the first thing I'm going to do is we're going to take off the all caps. Needs to also be readable. Now, this is another font that I have used with Unbound branding. I don't think I want to use that. Yeah, I'm going to go away from white. I think I'm going to borrow some colors from the pages of the book. Use something more antiqued looking. But okay. Events.charactercrusade. I don't hate that. And I think that logo needs to come down in size. So let's try a couple of different things here. First, Bring the logo down just a touch. Okay. And then this, we're actually we'll bring it up in size a little bit. Okay. Now I'm going to take the logo, I'm going to take the text, and I'm going to drop them into a folder. And then I'm going to apply effects to both of them at once on the folder. So let's do a gradient overlay. And I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to do a reflected overlay. Okay. Now we can set the colors. So the dark end of the gradient, let's have that come from here. And the light end of the gradient, let's have that come from here. Okay, reflected. Okay. Yeah. Not doing what I want. Oh, sure. I know what's happening. Okay, let's say okay to that. Copy layer style. Now we'll turn off that effect. Okay. Now let's apply that effect here. Here we go. Okay. This is probably too small for reflected. Okay. So we can copy this now. All right, this is kind of where the source of my problem was here. Because the logo is made out of two parts. And so what I want to do is combine those parts in a folder, which they are, and then apply the layer style here. Yeah, still not applying the way I need it to. Okay, let's clear that. So this, what it's doing now, is it's applying the effect to the two pieces of the logo independently, which is also not what I want. So what I need to do is merge those two layers. So let's do that. Layer, merge down. Now we're going to clear that style. Okay. Now, this isn't reflected. The other one is, so let's set it to reflected. Oh, yeah, that's getting better, huh? All right, so let's copy the layer style from the logo. Paste it there. So these should be pretty similar now. Okay. Okay. Now I'm feeling it. Okay. Now, the one thing I think I would change here is on the overlay. I think the lighter sample, I want it to be not quite as light. I want to pull a color that's a bit richer, maybe. There we go. Okay, I'm digging that. Okay, so we got, I mean, this is the basic theme for the Black Prince, but we have variations. We've got some information we need to communicate. So if I look at the old templates, let's switch over here. We're going to look at the old templates. I've got it's story time, please stand by. I've got be right back. I've got the let's chat one with the camera. And I've got thanks for watching. So I need to incorporate these messages into this somehow in a way that's readable And I'm thinking that those messages maybe would go in the upper right, like they really wouldn't be incorporated into the book itself, but would be overlays on top of what is essentially a scene. So, good night, smart blue cat. Wonderful to see you in here. Have a good one. We'll catch you later. All right, so let's do it. I'm going to start out by duplicating that. And then these two, we're going to set them aside in a group together. Events URL. Let's switch on our camera positioning also, because we don't want to inadvertently overwrite that. Okay, so I duplicated this layer. Let's move it up. And I'm doing this because I actually like this font. It could possibly be a candidate for this with some obvious sizing differences. So let's get you back to a view where you can see here. So this one is, it's story time. Please stand by. Be right back. Let's try the be right back message. All right. Thoughts? So there's the issue of scale, right? Is it the right scale? And then color. Like that? Okay. All right. We want some consistency here, so we're going to select this guy, and I'm going to left justify it. Then what we're going to do is we're going to pop in some guides. It's going to help us out. So if we go back and look, it's story time, please stand by is probably the longest message we're going to have. What else do we got? Oh, we got thanks for watching. That's going to be a long one too. So let's start out with a longer message and then see if we have to adjust our font size. We're playing for the, lowest common denominator here, right? So, thanks for watching. Okay, so as I look at that, the first adjustment I'm going to make is I'm going to drive it upward a little bit to about there. so it's not overlapping the page. We kind of look like we're equal distance between the top of the book in the lower left-hand corner and the bottom of the couch in the upper right-hand corner. All right. And then I'll just scooch those guides. Okay. Doing standby there doesn't work. So what we can do is we can do something like this. Okay, it's story time. Please stand by. What do we think of that? So we could do that. We could also use that for the thank you message with the URL underneath it to donate. So that might work. All right. So let's try this. Now, these messages are something that are going to stay the same across all of them. So I only need to create these once. So we can copy this folder. Eesh. Okay, this is positioning again, right? There we go. It's story time. Please stand by. Thanks for watching. Donate.charactercrusade.com. All right, what else do we got? We got break, right? It's story time. We got that one. Be right back. All right, maybe I'll change this one up. Let's do something having to do with, normally when I do the camera view, I had a thing that just said, let's chat. What if we have a phrase that has something to do with sitting on the couch and then let's chat, right? You know? Something like that. Welcome to the couch. Let's chat. Whoop. That seems a little bit more economy of words there, right? Welcome to the couch. Let's chat. Oh, yes. Okay, welcome to the couch. Let's chat. Now, this is the only one that the camera would go with. So the camera would go with this one. So let's take our camera view and we're going to slide it up into the audience chat folder. So when we turn off the audience chat folder and turn on break, the camera box just goes away. Okay. Control S. Let's save this shit before I lose it. All right. My ale of the pale is almost gone. It's delicious as long as I don't consider the fact that it was made in my kitchen sink and stored in my closet for a month. Okay. Yeah. Psyched. Okay, this is looking good. So now we got all the necessary messages in there. We got the motif going. We've got all the black princiness you could ever want. Lorcanus causatum. I'm still iffy on that cover. I mean, it definitely says, hello, these are Marl's notes, and it directly references them being Marl's notes, but not everybody understands that. I mean, the more they watch, the more they will come to understand it over time. But there's also the series branding, right? So every Tuesday night, I'm just calling it, you know, Tuesday Night Stories, which is going to make sense to the widest number of people. Unless people are really rabid about watching my content, they're not going to understand the whole Lorcan principle. There will be people who will watch hours and hours and hours of these live streams and never understand that they're connected, no matter what I say. So the branding part of it is important from that perspective also. So I'm feeling like the cover of this thing, well, Lorcanus causatum makes sense to those people who are familiar with Marl and his story. It doesn't make sense to everybody. All right, everybody thinks that business at the bottom needs to move up. I'm still holding off on moving it until I'm sure what I want the cover to say. Let's try something. Let's try something. Let's really overbrand this. Strudel. All right, back to this layout. The collected research of Marl Keenlit. All right, let's take out this whole Telvanni business. We'll reduce it to one line. Okay, that's up a little further now. Let's leave it there for a moment. Let's turn this off. Let's move that down a bit. All right, what size was this? 24. Let's make this also 24. Let's take out the. Let's put these side by side. Okay, 24 is too big. 18 was too small. Let's split the difference. Okay. All right. Let's snuggle that up a little bit. Now what I'm thinking is maybe the solution to my problem is I take another font entirely and I put right across the top here Story Night or something. Lorcanus causatum. Okay, so that spacing looks better. How are you feeling about that? So let's try a completely different font on the top. All right. I'm just putting this in placeholder text for now. We got to try some other stuff. Now I'm feeling like if there's going to be a different font here, if this is not written in Marl's hand, then I'd almost rather have it, give it the look and feel as though it were something that was printed on here prior to his writing inside the manuscript. This is us talking, right? This is not... We can't use this one because this is for Barbarian. This is our Barbarian font. It needs to be something that will offset what we've got going already. So that means that it can't be too scripty. We could use something like this, like Ring Bearer. The other option I have... What was it? That's probably not on here either. So, yeah, I mean, I feel like it needs to be different enough that it stands out and then doesn't look like it's handwritten. So, let's try Ring Bearer once. It's got to be stories, don't you think? Tuesday Night Stories. Locanus Casotum. So Tuesday Night Stories is the brand we want people to pay attention to. All right. I think we got it then. I think we're doing good. All right. What time are we going on here? Jeez. I don't even know. 8:30. Okay. Gives me a little bit of time here. I can't do Rune Runner. I'm going to get one done tonight, and that's it. But the good news is this kind of sets the stage, right? So I've got all the pieces in place that I need in order to get the other ones done. It's always the first one out of the gate that's the hardest to get everything set up. Okay. I'm just breezing through some of my design assets real quick to see if there's any little embellishments I might want to use. If I could come up with some kind of subtle little embellishment or line to go underneath that ring bearer text, that might be sort of fun, but it has to be like really subtle and it has to kind of fit in with everything else. Otherwise, it ain't gonna work. Textures, vector archive. There we go. Ooh. Oh boy. I got wings, I got weapons, I got skulls, I got ribbons, I got flowers, I got vines, I got birds, I got naked ladies. But some of these are perhaps a wee bit over the top, yeah. And let's download this guy. Oh, come on. I gotta log out of this one. Sign out. Sign out. What archive was that in? This one? Jesus. There it is. Okay. Now, this is an EPS file. So we're going to open it in Photoshop, but this is a vector, so it's going to scale like crazy. We're going to tell it what scale we want it to render at. Best to do that in pixels, because I know our whole thing there is 1920. That's pixels wide. We're talking about maybe a third of that. We can resize it though too. Okay. So what I want is I want to grab one of these that is not quite so bendy. I want to be able to put the text in straight across. I don't want to have to render my text on an arc because that's a pain in the ass. So I've got 4 on here that I could use. I could try. What I like about these is they definitely have a hand-drawn look to them that I think would probably look okay with the whole thing. So I'm feeling like this is going to be the best one. So I'm going to go to the lasso tool. We're going to use a polygon lasso. And I'm just going to get in here. And I'm going to clip out this guy. That's the ribbon I want right now. That's right. Come here. That's right. Good. Oop. All right. So we're going to do Control C. All right, we're going to come back in here. We're going to drop this guy in there like that. Ooh, that's perhaps a wee bit small. But we'll try to enlarge it. So we're going to convert it to a smart object. Now the whole lamp thing, that may end up being optional for us. It just depends on how nutty things get here. So let's try this. Okay. Okay. Ha! That doesn't look bad. I rather like it. All right, let's go into this. I'm going to grab this color right here. Copy that layer style. Paste it. Paste it. Okay, I'm just going to see what it looks like when I have consistent color across all the text, because I'm starting to get like too many things going on here. Be neat. Things labeled. Okay, let's save that. All right, it's all kind of got that brown cast to it, right? Now, the reason that I'm not doing that inside the book itself is that my sketches are definitely in black, and I can't change the hue of those sketches as accurately as I might like to. But we could try it. So what do y'all think of that? Let's have a closer look. I mean, I kind of like how it looks with the more brown colored ink. And I'm not sure on the lamp. I don't know if maybe the lamp is too much. If we take the lamp out, we would definitely have to reposition some things. Or, you know, maybe what it is maybe the lamp just needs to be a little smaller. That could be it too. I'm thinking the lamp needs to come down in size. Okay. Let's dump that there. Now, Tuesday Night Stories, we're going to slide that down here, and we're going to put it in a folder. With a ribbon. Or not. What did I just do? That's nothing. Okay. All right, now I can move these together. Can I? No. Need the text positioned inside the ribbon. Then I'm going to move the ribbon all as a unit. Then I'm going to shut down all this stuff. We'll put in a center guide. Okay, we're going to line everything up. Okay. All right. So now the question I have is the Lorcanus causatum and the subtitle. Do those need to come down closer to the lamp? Does there need to be more space between the ribbon? What are your thoughts on that? I like the brown color too. I think if I could come up with a way to adjust the hue of the illustrations that I'm putting in to match that, it might be kind of cool. Yeah, okay. We're in agreement. All right, so just this stuff. Okay. Now, if I grab the lamp, it's going to tell me where the absolute center is between this and this. So I've got equal space here. So I just moved it vertically, and it gave me exactly equal distances between these two. There we go. I think that's fantastic. All right? And I love that lamp. I'm going to keep a hold of that lamp because I like the idea that that's the symbol for the League of Prodigious Illumination, is the magic lamp. Okay, so next on the agenda, all right, so I just converted all of this text to the same brown shade from the cover. Now what we can do is, this is our illustration, the snake right here. We're going to do layer, new adjustment layer, hue and saturation. Okay. Now what we want to do is we're going to try and introduce a hue, which I maybe can't do because it's all monochrome right now. The key is I need to figure out how I would change the hue of the snake without changing the hue of the background. Or is it good enough to just leave them all like that? Let's just see how this looks. One argument being, of course, that the assumption is that maybe the sketches are done with a different instrument than the writing is. Here's the thing, right? As it is right now, the images that I want to use are all on white backgrounds, and they are either pencil sketches or ink. The only way that I could effectively apply a layer style to them, like I am with the text, is if I go into all of those sketches and I punch out the background so that it is no longer has a white background, so that it's basically a transparent PNG file. And that is a shitload of extra work, which I'm not going to do. So let's get all of our text in place. So I'll show you what happens if I apply a layer style like I've been applying to the text to one of these images. It just colors in the whole thing, right? And that's not what we want, obviously. So the only way I would be able to keep that from happening would be to go in here and meticulously cut out these backgrounds, or find a way to adjust the hue, which may be a possibility. But that looks pretty good. I gotta say, I kind of do like the text that color. It's nice. It's real nice. Yeah. Yeah, I kind of like it too. So maybe that's good. All right, well, I'm feeling pretty good about this. So let's save all of those changes. So then the next thing that we do is I export these. So I'm going to do, I'm just going to export these as PNGs. Tuesday projects, Tuesday night stories, black prints, and we'll do stream templates, and then we need our naming convention. TNS. Ocon. Stand by. Okay. And then we just cycle through them. All right. Last one is called camera. Now I have reduced the total count from 5 templates per character to 4 templates. Yeah. This is the couch. Okay. Now it'd be easy enough for me to use these as a thumbnail as well if I wanted to, which I think makes a lot of sense. I'm talking about the events thumbnail. So when I create a pre-scheduled event for a YouTube live stream, I could use one of these for that. And if I were going to do that, we would take this out. We would take out the couch, probably. I don't know. I may not use these for that. I think maybe these are just good for stream templates. I think what I might do is for thumbnails, I'm going to start using a thumbnail that features the character that's going to be in the stream. So that way it takes all the guesswork out of it. I've already created some of those, and I'll use those same things on the events scheduler on the website. So that's it, ladies and gentlemen. Save that again. And all of these layers, I will just reuse all of these, replacing the content and replacing the artwork. And there you have it. So yeah, that's a full evening. It takes a full evening to do all of these, but I'm starting from scratch. So as you can imagine, the ones I do after this are going to be a lot easier to complete. So yeah, all right. 14 people. Thanks for watching. It's been a blast. Again, tomorrow night is Tuesday night, and it is Tuesday Night Stories. It's going to be a little bit ragged. I haven't been able to do lots of advanced planning, but we're going to be picking up Okan's story right from where it left off. And if you remember, when that story left off, he was right in the middle of tackling Golden Glow. So we're going to finish Golden Glow. We're going to head back to Riften, and we are going to start planning and possibly executing the assassination of Grelod the Kind. So there's going to be, I think, lots of action in tomorrow's stream. We're going to be focusing on the Dark Brotherhood quest line and the Thieves Guild quest line primarily for tomorrow's episode. So that starts at 7 p.m. Central Time. So be here. It's going to be fun. And you'll see these templates, and you'll know how they were created. Woo! So anyway, looking forward to seeing you all tomorrow, and thank you so much for your attendance, for hanging out with me. We'll talk to you later.